On 107.9 FM, GTFM on a Wednesday morning. Gareth Williams with you right through until 1 o'clock on Community Link. And we began with two great songs. Hope you agree. Delight, Groove is in the Heart. And there was Nelly Furtado and I'm Like a Bird, 14 after 10. Early start for some people. And my guest has joined me already, just the way we like it. Now I got to get this right. Is it Steve Austin's or Steve Austin?
It's Steve Austin's with an S on the end, although I do trade quite a lot on the fact that actually people think that I'm either bionic in some way
Yeah.
or that I am a stone cold world championship wrestler.
Somewhere in between.
Somewhere
Well,
in
the
between.
heads, so that's okay. They're like
Yeah, I
Steve
was going to
Austin.
say it's kind of like, you know, I'm getting there. I've had kind of I've been sizably short-sighted since I was 9, so I've definitely not got a bionic eye, that's for sure.
Steve Austin, welcome indeed to the show. You're very welcome. First of all, before we go and have a little chat about your career in general, Tredegar born.
Tredegar born, Tredegar bred, yeah. Yeah, I kind of very, very proud of kind of coming up from Tredegar. My mum was from Tredegar herself. My dad from over the mountain in Abertwysog. And yeah, I just really loved kind of life there. Really got some really good, strong friends. Funny enough, the friends from home are the people that I actually watch football with, whether that be Cardiff City or kind of or travelling around Europe watching Wales. So kind of, you know, we've still got that really strong bond.
Yeah, because Steve Austin's former editor of BBC Radio Wales. So when did you first sort of decide upon becoming involved with broadcasting? Because I take it you went to Tredegar Comprehensive School.
Yep.
That would have been probably your first step. On to college, and was it media studies you actually trained for then?
Yeah, I did media studies at Ebervale College, went tertiary college as it became for a while. But the route actually, funnily enough, was, take it right back, I was always obsessed by the media in some way or another, and kind of the way that it expressed itself very early on was weather. I wanted to be a weatherman. I was
influenced by Derek?
Well, no, it was a bit before Derek's time, bless him. But I absolutely just was obsessed about drawing maps, drawing weather, to the point where my infant school teacher noticed this and kind of asked me why, and I said, oh, I want to be a weatherman. And then, you know, the following afternoon I was kind of presenting the weather in front of the class. And then kind of it became a class project for everybody to present the weather in front of the class, and I became deeply unpopular for this because I was the only person in the thing that wanted to present the weather.
Yeah.
But from there, kind of got an interest in kind of writing and in journalism. I went to the Gwent Gazette for work experience when I was 14, and actually it was through a newspaper that I got my love of radio. Because what I noticed, and I absolutely adored the 2 weeks that I spent with the team there, but morning, noon and night, Radio 1 was on in the background. Now, bear in mind that...
And what year would this have been?
This was 1992. So it was Simon Mayo at breakfast, and it was Simon Bates.
Yeah,
and
good
Jackie
time.
Reynolds.
Gary Davis, Bruno Brooks,
Exactly,
all
yeah.
that.
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah, absolutely. Now, bear in mind that kind of, you know, because I was in school, kind of Radio 1 was something that I listened to for the chart show, and it was something that kind of, you know, was on a Saturday morning, DLT and all of that. So, but I didn't hear an awful lot of it. This was the first time that I heard it consistently throughout the day, and I just fell in love with that communication. I fell in love with the music. I fell in love with everything, and actually from that point on, my mind was made up. So that by the time I did the next work experience 2 years on from then, I managed to get a week at Red Dragon FM down at Old West Canal.
In the old days, yes.
In the old days where I first met you.
Yeah, that's right, yes.
And
85, 86.
well, it would have been 90.
Oh, right, when I was doing the rugby,
yeah,
right,
when you were doing the rugby. And actually, kind of that week turned into turning up on holidays, school holidays, and so on. Then I took a year out, and I was initially doing it for nothing. Then I was doing it for bus fare. Then I was kind of standing in for people.
And we all do it. Well, I mean, I'm a volunteer here, as you know. And the thing is, when you start out into radio, I know people say, oh, I began by making the tea. And it's true, Steve, isn't it? People come in as 15, 16, 17-year-olds and they're making tea for a couple of years.
Yeah.
People think they just walk into a studio, put the mic on and they stars. Oh, no.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It was cleaning carts. Was my start at Red Dragon, where it was just literally those old kind of 8-track carts that they played all the jingles and all the ads.
The adverts, yeah.
They had to clean them off in order to put the new kind of news cuts on. So that was my initial job, and then writing some press releases. But because I'd done some, when I was at the Gwent Gazette, I ended up becoming the Tredegar community reporter. So actually, by the time I'd went to Red Dragon, I had this whole bank of published articles, so they knew I could write, so therefore they gave me more of that writing to do, and that's how I ended up kind of working in the newsroom pretty much for a year, while at the same time sending them my demo tapes so that I could do overnights.
And was John Hawkins there then? Was John still there, or did he finish?
No,
so I know John Hawkins, I think, was the news editor certainly in the latter part of the 80s.
Oh, John Gripton was
I remember John.
So John Gripton was news editor, and then it became Andrew Jones.
That's right.
On ITV Wales.
That's right.
And
because I think John Gripton, didn't he become the programme controller at one time?
Yeah, he did. I think he did both for a while. Yeah, absolutely. But I was the tail end. I kind of arrived at the tail end of John Dash's time as kind of programme director, and I got to know John quite well kind of over time, but I have told him that I was absolutely terrified of him when I was way back in that time, because the work experience boy does not kind of talk to the programme director.
I was quite lucky with John, because John loved his sport, and of course because I was a radio commentator and reporter, we got on really, really well. But John used to do his job quite well too, and he never suffered fools, did he?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Anyway, our very special guest this morning, Steve Austin's back with Steve, talking about Radio Wales and what he's been up to over the last couple of years. After this, from Desmond Decker. Good morning.